Hello everyone and welcome back to this humble abode of gameplay and memes. Today I return to you with another Supreme Commander Forged Alliance Forever replay cast. This time it's once again a team matchmaking game. After the last one was a custom lobby, this one is going to be team matchmaking, and yes, this is a map that I have never seen before. In fact, that's why I chose this replay, because this map is absolutely beautiful, as you can see. This map is called Twisted Isles, and it's got, it's a pretty big one, 20 by 20 kilometers. I'm assuming it's usually meant for more players than this, but in team matchmaking, you know, it's available in 2v2 team matchmaking, which is what we're witnessing here. It's got a 34,000 reclaim on it, which is fairly modest for a 20 by 20 map, unless we're talking settings, of course, which has like 15. Which is nothing compared to this. It's scattered all around the map, you know, with those tight clusters, mostly around those island plateaus, as you can see. And there are also some decent wreckages. These are looks like a Salem destroyer, and there is one that looks like an artillery piece from the Cybrans or the UEF. What hard to say there. Hold on, can I zoom in again? Yeah, I think it's UEF, but anyway. Yes, today's 4 players will be introduced very quickly because, you know, there's only 4 of them. And let's go ahead and start with that. In the blue corner, on team 1, we've got Levi Ackerman at 2,000 rank points, which is huge for team matchmaking, I dare say. Is going to be playing Aeon in Thalassophobia Blue going first land. His teammate for today is going to be cZARJc. He's going to be playing UEF in Blues Blue at 1100 rank points, with stark contrast to his teammate, going first land. Their opponents for today in the red corner are going to be LaissezFairy, who is currently got himself 1800 rank points, also pretty big up there with 2000, pretty close indeed. Is going to also be playing Aeon, this time in coordinate red going first land. And last but not least, for this team and for this particular match, we're working with Guilia33, I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it, correct me if I'm wrong, at 1200 rank points, playing Aeon in Road Rage Red, going first land. So yes, remember how the last cast had 1 Aeon player out of 10? This one will feature 75% of all players being Aeon, you know, the revenge of the Aeon, I guess you can call this particular match. Yes indeed. So this map, yes, it looks absolutely stunning, as you can clearly see. It's got all these scattered islands where you need to, you need a lot of micro to transfer your units between those islands. So definitely gonna see some hot island action, transport action, perhaps some other cool types of action. And yes, you've got these civilian clusters here, civilian blocks, I guess you can say. Got some decent reclaim on them as well. There is even a Gunther, a Cybran T2 artillery installation on either side. Going to be some extremely juicy reclaim for them. So yes, every team of course features a relative pro and a relative Joe, and this allows this game to be relatively balanced. I suppose the game balance is actually at 97% game quality, which is really big, especially for 2v2 team matchmaking, where discrepancies between rank points could be huge. Alright, we've already got our cZARJc just standing inside the water, just chilling. I guess he is cooling off his commander after a long day. Although everything here is frozen, so I'm not entirely sure why you would do that. But alright, fair enough. Meanwhile, a first transport is going out from Levi Ackerman. Let's see where exactly it's going. It is accompanied by a scout, so he can see where he's going without, you know, flying into trouble. Hopefully, anyway. It looks like the first stop is going to be here. Then another stop on... Yes, he's going to cover the entire island with a bunch of engineers, and then after that, I wonder if he's gonna drop somewhere else. Scouts flying out, of course, out of both LaissezFairy and Guilia as well. Flying, trying to see what's up and what's down, and already a transport out from Fairy as well is going to be occupying a couple islands. One of them is really close to Tsar's main base, so I'm wondering how that will work out. However, on the opposite side, we've got the exact same thing going on. Levi Ackerman is already dropping engineers on an island that is super close towards the main base of Guilia. In fact, Guilia already reached that island by just walking his engineer, interestingly enough. So there's going to be a clash sooner rather than later. No bomber aggression though. The players are just focusing on scouting and dropping transports. Another transport out from Guilia himself as well. Looks like it's just going to this small island, which nevertheless has got 2000 reclaim on it. Pretty nice. But I feel like there might be bigger things that you need to take care of. Like, for example, LaissezFairy is doing here with already producing 2 factories, walking forward trying to occupy that as fast as possible. This transport is flying directly into the trap because there are now tanks in play, and he's just dropped his engineers in front of a tank. That is not gonna work out for you, my dude. So I guess we can say he's already lost this island, which is going to be a serious thorn in their sides because look how close it is to their main bases. Yeah, those interceptors won't do anything. They can shoot down the opposing interceptors, sure, but then what? Or maybe not even that, considering, you know, the exchange is relatively even despite who's this again? Yeah, despite Tsar having such a numbers advantage, looks like the exchange was relatively even. In fact, Fairy's interceptors are chasing the enemy interceptors down into their own base, and there is absolutely no resistance. Interesting. First naval vessels flying out as well. Already a submarine out of Ackerman. Mr. Ackerman trying to, I guess, shut down the enemy's naval production, which already won't happen because there is like 3 naval yards for Guilia himself already. Oh my goodness, would you look at that? 4 factories constructed by Ackerman near the base of Guilia, and now so many Aurora tanks emerging from them, and immediately moving across the water, hovering across the water and going directly into the enemy's main base. I'm not entirely sure if that is going to be worth it or not, because, you know, there's a commander there after all. Might be able to shut them down, but most importantly, now Guilia is just producing tons and tons of bombers in order to hopefully shut this push down. Meanwhile, there's 1 engineer out from Levi surrounded by a mass of interceptors out from LaissezFairy. Well, there you go. The engineer is no more. The bomber is still going to be hovering about, I suppose, trying to find whatever it can. Yeah, see, the bomber is out from Guilia should definitely take care of the Aurora tanks. If you remember, Aurora tanks are especially vulnerable to bombers because they can actually be destroyed in one pass of a single bomber. So eventually Guilia will accumulate a critical mass of bombers where he will no longer be threatened by any of them. Here though, meanwhile, we've got some serious troubles for LaissezFairy, as he is being currently overwhelmed by a whole host of submarines out from cZARJc. However, the solution is already on the way. He has made a torpedo bomber, so his transition to T2 air has been completed. He's now sitting at T2 air indeed. I wonder if he's gonna make any swift wings or not, but for now he's just, he's just torpedoing those submarines, so I guess they won't be able to do anything anymore. Meanwhile, Levi is sending his interceptors to protect his own Auroras from the bombers. It will work for the moment because it's clear he has more interceptors than Guilia does, but how long will it stay that way? That is the question. More engineers being flown out by Fairy, this time actually dropping near, well, that was just 1 engineer, I guess, to reclaim everything. Yes, more engineers being flown out towards the front line, I guess to either reclaim some ships that have been sunk, or potentially to reinforce this forward position, which is still standing and is showing no signs of stopping whatsoever. Well, on the plus side, neither is Levi's position on the other side, so they're even in that. Aurora tanks, yeah, see, here's the successful usage of Auroras right here. They have hovered over the terrain, over water, and are now attacking the other islands you know, where there is no commander and where, you know, the main base isn't nearby, so they can't just instantly shut you down. I dare say this is a bit of a better usage of those of the Aurora hovering maneuvers, but I let you be the judge. Anyway, it looks like Guilia has produced a whole bunch more interceptors and is now still overwhelming Levi's Auroras with all this bombardment. Yeah, they are extremely vulnerable now, so not entirely sure what can be done about that. He can keep sending some interceptors, or he can just start constructing some thistles. There you go. Those T1 mobile anti-air cannons are a good match for the bombers, of course. So eventually we will probably reach make enough thistles where bombers will stop being a problem. And there you go. Most of the bombers have already been shot down. But now there's the commander standing there, blocking the way for the Auroras, so they might want to reconsider. Torpedo bombers chasing down the naval vessels of Levi, meanwhile, supporting his frigates as the frigates are roaming around, trying to, of course, sink the opposing frigates. Everything is Aeon, so it can get quite confusing, but at least it's very clear who is blue and who is red. So, yeah, that is one thing they changed about team matchmaking. I'm pretty sure it's a recent change where now one of the teams is all shades of blue and the other teams is all shades of gray, red and yellow. So yeah, like one team is, you know, blue, cyan, purple, and the other team is like red, orange and yellow. So that's pretty cool. Definitely helps out. Okay, a massive swarm of interceptors out from, yep, that's a big interceptor clash right there, both from cZARJc as well as Fairy. It looks like cZARJc might be getting a slightly better edge here, as his fighters are focusing, yes, as his entire group of interceptors is focusing small groups of enemy interceptors at a time, allowing him to come out on top. Yes, indeed. Now there's a big reclaim field of interceptors here, right next to Levi's base. I'm sure he's happy about that. Now he can also shut down these torpedo bombers, of course, no problem. It's just, you know, it will take a while to shoot them when you've just got interceptors, but he can do it no problem. Yeah, looks like Guilia has given up on the idea of destroying these Auroras and factories with attack bombers and has now transitioned to T2 air, making himself some T2 gunships. Yes, indeed, the T2 gunships will fare a lot better against those thistles, that's for sure. Because, you know, Aeon T2 gunships, they've got some splash damage. They can destroy multiple enemy tanks with just one shot. Or one volley, I should say. So that might work a lot better. As we are reaching a bit of a lull here, probably should take a look at the economy, and unsurprisingly, LaissezFairy is of course leading the charge with 125 mass per second versus 69, nice, 68 and 64 for every other player. He's basically, he's worth basically almost as much as the entire enemy team right now in terms of mass income. In terms of total mass accrued, Team 1 is ahead though. Or no, never mind. Team 2 is also ahead by 90,000 versus 77. But would you look at that? On the plus side, Levi, Mr. Ackerman, has now reached T3 air and is already sending a scout and a strategic bomber, the wonderful Shocker, which stuns everything it hits if it doesn't get destroyed outright. He's sending that towards the base of Guilia. I would rather like to see him send that towards Fairy's base because, you know, LaissezFairy is clearly the more dangerous opponent here. So the bomber is approaching. It's going to target a power generator. Alright, fair enough. Now Guilia should be left without energy, well, almost. Alright, now it's going to be targeting the... No, it did not destroy the mass extractor. Alright, the interceptors out from Fairy are attempting to chase the bomber down. They might not make it in time though. I'm pretty sure strategic bombers are faster than T1 interceptors. Yes, indeed, you can see that. So that will destroy 2 power generators at once. So let's take a look at that. Boom! There we go. And this is now becoming a bit of a problem. Yes, he does have like a flak turret there, but you know, flak turrets aren't that great against strat bombers. They don't exactly destroy them immediately. Meanwhile, a massive swarm of torpedo bombers being sent against the naval vessels of Team 2. We'll get back to that in a moment. I just want to see what exactly the bomber can destroy. Well, there down goes the that thing. Oh! A big explosion destroys a bunch of generators and engineers, but unfortunately a really bad turn for the bomber that's getting shot into the tail. In its tail as it's flying away. Oh no, another horrible turn. Wish he'd gone off map there, but okay. Can it drop another bomb? Yes, it can. Interestingly enough, does not destroy the generator, it's left with 200 health. I feel like the generator would have gotten destroyed if a bomber hit it, but nope. That was not meant to be. Alright, woo, this is a serious torpedo bomber force out from Levi, already 18 of them, and I'm sure more are on the way. They're completely dismantling the naval force of Grelia. No contest whatsoever. And most importantly, Levi can support them with air fighters, which are currently actually... Oh, yep, there you go. So the Spectre gunships have completely cleared the island that Levi was occupying. He's now chasing them down with some Corona fighters. Corona fighters, what a... what a name, huh? Unfortunately, the next shocker that Levi is sending is already being set upon by some fighters out from LaissezFairy, and down that goes. Not extremely successful. Now the fighters and interceptors together will have no problem clearing the torpedo bombers as well, so overall a pretty nasty loss there for Team 1. Even though they did sink pretty much the entirety of Grelia's navy, you know, LaissezFairy is still doing just fine and is already outpacing Levi in terms of producing T3 air, so that's not very good, is it? Of course, T3 mass extractors, or mass extractors being upgraded to T3 left and right, as well as capped. There is also a serious congregation of frigates being built up by both teams near the middle. You can see lots of them from Team 2 on the west, and a bunch of them on the east from Team 1. However, most importantly, there is now some T2 Navy in the area as well, so both LaissezFairy and... or LaissezFairy, I'm still not sure how to pronounce that. Both Fairy and cZARJc have completed themselves some T2 naval headquarters and are now using destroyers in addition to the frigates. So far the destroyer of cZARJc isn't exactly being put to good use, as it's standing completely still, not shooting anything. Well, there we go, now it's moving. And there is now a bunch of frigates and subs out from Levi as well. So I'm sure they're looking for a massive clash in the middle, and yes, there they go. Already torpedoes being fired, shots being fired of all kinds between the navies of cZARJc and Fairy. Yes, Fairy, just gonna call him that. Yes, the generator that's miraculously survived. There is now another generator next to it, and the old one is not being repaired. I don't know, I feel like you might want to repair it though, because you don't want that exploding in your face, especially with the commander standing nearby. Fighters also being... a squadron of fighters being built up by Levi, of course. He is, I'm sure he's still behind Fairy though, although he does have plenty of interceptors, T1 interceptors, to compensate for that, but will that really matter? 8 fighters versus 12, yeah. Not entirely sure it's gonna matter in the end. Right, looks like the navy of Team 1 is about to get sandwiched from two sides by the navy of Team 2. About to get sandwiched from two sides from Team 1. However, they are attacking a little bit out of sync, so it's possible that some of the destroyers from Fairy will catch up, and also for some reason cZARJc is retreating. I guess they've reconsidered now that they see so many more ships approaching. The fighters are getting closer as well. You can see, I'm assuming the fighters from Fairy were being sent in response to the torpedo bombers out from Levi, which are now hitting the field. They don't accomplish too much, there aren't enough of them, but yes, more destroyers now being produced and sent forward by Fairy. These are Aeon destroyers. These are really nasty against frigates because, you know, they do so much damage that those frigates just get absolutely shredded. Let's look at this. Boom! Oh, it missed. Yeah, that's the problem. That's the downside of the destroyers, is that Aeon destroyers very often miss. An air clash is about to happen here. We are about to witness that, and yes, it looks like... well, it looks like the fighters of Fairy are actually focusing on the fighters of Levi instead of the interceptors. It's still not entirely clear, it's really close. But it looks like... Yep, it looks like this time Levi actually comes out on top. Just got so many more interceptors that I guess their damage does end up mattering, and they actually do manage to overwhelm the opposing air force. However, their naval force is dwindling slowly but surely. There aren't enough destroyers. There are just... well, there were two, but now there is just one. Versus a multitude of destroyers on the opposing team, as well as now a cruiser, which is threatening the air force, of course. A rival cruiser coming out of cZAR, but that doesn't really help, because, you know, cruisers aren't exactly good at ship-to-ship combat. Unless we're talking cyber cruisers, of course, those are great, but otherwise not really. And yeah, I don't think a cruiser is what they need here. They need way more destroyers, because they are being surrounded by opposing destroyers. I think one of the those Exodus classes was sunk by Levi or cZAR, depending on who you ask, I suppose. Oh, that was a nasty shot, just to damage 2 frigates at once. The last remaining destroyer here is about to go down very shortly. Oh, yep, there's a squadron of torpedo bombers. Now, torpedo bombers are coming out from both Levi and Fairy. It also looks like Levi somehow managed to lose all of his fighters. What? Yep, he just... what? Okay, Levi somehow managed to lose all of his fighters. I have no idea how that happened. I totally did not see that, but it did. It did in fact happen. The island near the base of cZAR is still being controlled by engineers. Well, I say controlled, but it's looking like more like a desperational last stand, as there are just a couple engineers left over versus a whole bunch of cruisers and destroyers and all kinds of other nastiness. Now, of course, the torpedo bombers here will get shot down, but all of that force, all of that naval force that was pushing in, is now at the bottom of the ocean. The frigates, the destroyers, even the cruiser, everything is just down there. So now I suppose Team 1 needs to regroup and actually start thinking more strategically where they are sending those ships, because as you can see right now, yeah, LaissezFairy has already started massive construction of T1 naval factories in order to reclaim this massive field, which this is 20,000 mass right here, so you definitely should do your best to reclaim that. I'm not entirely sure you need that many factories for it though. That might be like, you might spend more mass building those and then the engineers, and you will actually gain mass from reclaiming. Now that would be embarrassing. But in the meantime, there's another strategic bomber out from Levi, which is just... what? I thought it was going to attack this location, but then it just kind of stopped. Not entirely sure what's happening here. Okay, it's attacking something now. Yeah, down goes one mass extractor. And it's heavily protected too. Whoop, that could destroy 2. No, not really. The shocker bomber doesn't have nearly enough splash damage. Very nicely done by Levi. Well, the bomber goes off map now, so it won't respond to orders, but now you can drop the bomb on this one as well. No? Yes. Okay, cool. Oh, destroyed the engineers as well. Fighters engaging against the interceptors of Guilia. So yeah, Guilia just lost like 4 mass extractors. That was really nasty. And it looks like the shocker will not be shot down in return. Bro, I got distraction, says Guilia. I'm guessing he is referring to a possible air clash. And he's about to lose another. Oh no. About to lose another mass extractor here. Almost a 2-star veteran on that bomber. 8,000 mass destroyed. Oof. That was nasty. I think... oh. I think... yep. There you go. Now, unfortunately, Levi's fighters will all get shot down because it looks like Fairy is now producing more. If we can see, he's got 2 air factories already. Also 4 T3 power generators for some reason. Why would you need that many though? Huh? I guess he's giving heavy assistance to the factory, and that's why he needs so much power output. But yeah, there's only 1 air factory for Levi, only a second one only being constructed now, and that's a little bit too late. Oh yeah, Fairy is telling Guilia that he shouldn't have upgraded those extractors that he just lost to T2. Guilia says, I need eco, to which Fairy responds with incorrect. No idea what that's supposed to mean here. No elaboration will be given, I suppose. But okay, so the cruisers are slowly but surely trying to push back the occupied islands right in front of Tsar's face. They are doing it extremely slowly. I'd say at a leisurely pace, or leisurely, whatever the correct pronunciation is. Still, there is still a friggin' power plant standing here. I have no idea how that's allowed to happen, but hey, sometimes you just can't help it, I suppose. Yeah, lots and lots of fighters. I'm pretty sure. Oh yeah, 43 fighters versus basically 0 for Levi, right? Yeah, 5. So it seems like their air advantage of Team 2 is fairly secure at this point. Also, in terms of mass income, they are also eating, but not that heavily. You know, it's almost the same. Almost. It's like a 10% lead or so. Yeah, actually even less than that. Sorry, like more like 5%. In terms of total mass accrued, though, oh, see, that's where the real troubles come in. 333,000 versus 243. Yep, almost a 100,000 mass advantage for Team 2 at this point. That is going to be quite hard to overcome indeed, especially when you're being attacked by such a large naval force. We should probably, yeah, do a cool cinematic shot of that. Look at this. Oh no, there's it's pretty clear that Tsar is being forced to retreat here, and not only that, but they are also completely crumbling as they are retreating. You can see that so many of these destroyer shots, even though some of them are missing at this point, there are so many destroyers that some of the shots will still land and will be extremely painful, because that's what Aeon destroyer shots are, you know, painful. Looks like they're, yeah, unfortunately for everybody involved, Tsar is producing a whole bunch of cruisers, which are not the thing you need to fight destroyers. Absolutely not. You need more destroyers to fight the opposing destroyers, or battleships if you can afford them, which you definitely can't. So that does not look very good. So how are they coming back from this, then you might ask? Well, I won't tell you, of course, because, you know, why would I? I don't want to give spoilers to my own cast, in case that wasn't obvious. Oh, look at these juicy destroyer shots. Oh my goodness. Oh! 100 health on that destroyer. No! Down that goes. 2 destroyers left over in Tsar's fleet. Meanwhile, for Fairy, it's probably going to be around 10 right now. No, just 5. But 71 frigates still. That is insane numbers of frigates. At least, you know, considering he isn't putting that much effort into producing them, he's just, well, he is spamming frigates out of those factories that he's recently built. I guess, yes, now since he's reclaimed everything, can switch those to frigates instead of engineers. Makes sense, makes sense. He isn't very well protected from air assault with this kind of setup. You know, there's just 1 cruiser, but he doesn't really need to because he's already 1 air. Meanwhile, Guilia himself on the western flank is also building up his own air force. He has way more cruisers, and most troublingly, Levi has no high-tech navy to speak of. He's only got T1 navy, and this is horrible. But you know why that is? That is because he's focusing all his efforts into producing air. And not just any air, no, he's producing those beautiful shocker bombers that we've seen earlier. Yep, he's got 4 factories and they're all mostly focused on producing bombers and scouts. So he is definitely planning something, alright? He's even sending those bombers to the corner of the map where they are the least likely to get spotted, which makes a lot of sense, I suppose. Haha, and I guess that should be the trump card that Team 1 needs to play in order to win at this point, because look at this. You've got so much navy pushing into your doorstep, kicking your metaphorical crap in. Look at this, even the shield boats are no match for the might of the Aeon navy. Oh, so many boats, look at that. And so many beautiful destroyer shots, which are completely obliterating the opposing frigates. He does somehow have more destroyers now. I'm not entirely sure how that's possible. He's got like 5 now. where it was about 2 before. I guess he's really focusing heavily on destroyer production. Yeah, it's like we got 4 T2 naval factories now, which is pretty good, even 5 I'd say. But yeah, will it be enough to stop them? Well, we'll find out in a second. There are still 5 destroyers for Fairy actually, so he might be able to fight back against 5 of his, and he has more production. It looks like Fairy isn't extremely interested in producing more, interestingly enough. Meanwhile, though, Greeley has realized that his direct opponent Levi has no high-tech navy to speak of and is now pushing against him as well. The destroyers pause because they are really interested in that 1 mass extractor, or rather 1 mass storage unit, which is what they were shooting before. My dude, you wanna... yeah, here. Please destroy the extractor first, and then... Greeley says we won. Well, have I got a surprise for you, my dude? Yep, they do not realize that the bombers are there. Meanwhile, there's already 12 of these, and there's even more on the way. Okay, scouts are now flying out from these bombers. From these bombers for these bombers, out from Levi, flying every which way. Fairy is now, of course, reacting with his fighters. He does not want to be found out, I suppose. Yeah, you've got scouts flying in both directions, both Greeley's base as well as Fairy's base. So in total, we have got ourselves, what, 11? What's happening? 12, yeah. In total, we've got ourselves 12 bombers advancing. He did not make any more. Now he's just making scouts to see exactly where the commanders are. The fighters are now flying in. Now, of course, they will get intercepted by Fairy's fighters, but would you look at that? The bombers, they are coming. Hello, can I track one of them? Thank you. We're gonna be doing a super amazing cinematic tracking shot of these bombers as they are approaching the base of Fairy. I do not see the fighters anywhere. I think the fighters are over there still busy fighting the opposing fighters. And would you look at that? It looks like he's gonna get a completely free pass here. There's like, there's like 1 or 2 fighters in the area. So every bomber that's been sent will drop their bombs, and the bombs will connect. Down goes Fairy, and not only that, the bombers are continuing their advance. The fighters are now attempting to catch up to them, but it might be too little too late, as there is still plenty of bombers to cause harm towards this other guy, Greeley, as well. Let's look at this. The bombs are dropping, the bombs are dropping, the bombs are dropping. Reduced to 10,000 health, 4,000 health, but the bombers have run out. Oh my goodness, that was so close. 2 more bombs and he would have been toast. If even that, might have been 1 might have been enough. Oh man. But at this point, they've got pretty much nothing left over. So cZARJc just quits. It says he was killed by Control K, but I'm pretty sure that's not possible. And down goes Levi as well. Realizes that he does not have anything else. He says, quit for this move, please. Please, guys, can you just quit? I did an epic move, you know? Well, he really did. Almost got both of the opposing commanders. That was absolutely glorious. The final charge, the final flight of the Aeon Valkyries as they vaporized the commander of Fairy. But it wasn't enough still. And in the end, it didn't matter because they lost anyway. Well, this is all I've got for you for today. I hope you enjoyed this game. It was a relatively quick one, you know, and not as long as we usually do, but damn it if it wasn't entertaining. To me, at least to me, it was absolutely super entertaining. And I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I found it. So, thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see more of these, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and maybe leave a comment down below detailing what you'd like to see or what you wouldn't like to see. We'll see about that. Anyway, that's all I've got for you for today, so goodbye, take care everybody, and I hope to see you soon again on the battlefields of the future.